Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Happy Monday. Oh my gosh, I feel so good from the past weekend. And let me tell you, last week, like Tuesday, I was so ready for Friday. I was like, this has been the longest week of my life. Not really, but there was like so much going on that my brain was fried. Okay. Like, I was done. I was like, this is too much. And I told Garrett, I was like, you know what, this weekend we are doing nothing. I don't want to do anything. I need to rot. I need a break. I need to rest. And I had this thought, like, if I can just make it until Saturday, I will be fine. Friday rolled around. I was supposed to get dinner at 7 p.m. in Kansas City, which is a bit late, but I was like, I really wanted to try this new restaurant, or I'm sorry, it's not a new restaurant. It's Cooper's Hawk, but they opened a new one up in North KC. So I was like, okay, I love a new area. My friend lives in North KC. So I was like, this will be perfect. And she ended up having a little medical emergency with her doggy. So she had to go to the vet in the afternoon and was a little worried about leaving him by himself. So I was like, perfectly fine. Honestly, I kind of needed not to do anything Friday. But I have been introducing, this is a bit tough because I have always aligned myself with like a morning workout person, which I do like it. But on the days that I am not getting up and I'm not moving my body in the way like at the gym, I've told myself, okay, it doesn't matter if it's a really horrible workout, but like after work, go to the gym, right? And I feel like it's kind of a reset, and it allows me to have like a second day or a second beginning in my day. So when I get off at 5 p.m., I hop in my vehicle, I drive to the gym. And even if I stay there for 20 minutes, it's still putting me in a new environment. I'm not staying at my house. It's also like kind of a reset. Like I come back and I'm like, okay, like I'm feeling more energized. I just, moved my body. They say when you move your body, the brain receptors ignite and they have more activity than if you were to just like not work out. I guess like a walk does wonders for your brain. So Thursday and Friday, I was like, I have got to go to the gym, especially because the week was just like so rambunctious. I had a tennis lesson canceled on Thursday because of the snow. No, it wasn't because of the snow. It was because of the cold temperature, and one of the other tennis pros was unable to make it into work. So there was like a bigger class. For us, we had like one girl who was going on a work trip, so she wasn't going to be there. And it's fairly there's only 3 of us doing this hour-long lesson. So that brought us down to 2. And the class was much, much bigger. So we rescheduled our class. So Thursday, I was like, I've got to move my body. I was looking forward to the tennis lesson, but of course, like that didn't happen. So I went to the gym and it was fine. I think this past Monday or last week, one of the random days I went to work out in the morning, and I was there for 15 minutes and I turned around and I keep telling myself like, perfection is the number one killer of a dream, right? Like when you are aspiring to have it exactly perfect, like you're never going to have it exactly perfect. And if you're striving for that perfectionism, you're not going to make it, and it can really push your motivation in the garbage, right? So I always try to say like progress, not perfection, like just get out there and whatever I have to offer, that's what I have to offer. And I am not going to get discouraged by like 15 minutes or 5 minutes or like even going outside and walking around the house, right? Like anything is better than nothing. So that's just the mentality that I've been in. Anything is better than nothing, and going and working out. So it's been pretty chill. I thought that maybe the gym, I've had this like overwhelming like thought of, oh, I can't go to the gym after work because everybody goes to the gym after work, right? Like everybody's trying to work out. And it honestly was not as busy as I thought it possibly could be. It was pretty chill. And I really didn't have a struggle to get a machine or do any workout. Like I've had it in my mind, okay, you have to wake up super early to go to the gym because nobody else will be at the gym. But in reality, there's a ton of people at the gym in the morning. But I've just been trying to figure out some sort of routine and movement of my body. So I did that on Friday. And I went to bed. Now, I had the intention of doing nothing this weekend. On Saturday, when I say do nothing, I mean separate myself from work and to have some ease and not be so stressed out, like to incorporate some sort of fun in my day because things have not been like super, super fun lately. And I think laughter, one, is so good for your mind, right? It's so good for your body. It's so good for healing. And also like taking yourself out of, your day-to-day routine to try something new is always perfect, and always good. So on Saturday, I planned on getting coffee with my friend at 9:30. We went to the filling station in Overland Park. I can't remember if it's fueling or filling. I think it's filling station. Could possibly be fueling. But it's a little coffee shop. We went to the one in Overland Park. It's super, super cute. And we talked for a couple hours, and that was awesome. Just to like chatter, to gossip about reality TV shows, to talk about, the stressors in our life, and just, have a coffee. I got a croissant, and oh my gosh, the croissant was so good. It was massive though. Like it was a huge croissant, and it had almonds and powdered sugar, and it had an almond filling. I went to break this off. I think it was maybe slightly overbaked because it did not, it burst. Okay. Like it didn't break off in a cute little piece. It literally burst into several different crumbs, pieces. It like exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like croissants are so messy to eat. And I always think to myself, oh, like they look so good in the little bakery. I want one. And then as soon as I get one, I'm like, this is the messiest thing in the world. I, had crumbs all over and my hands were so sticky. I had to like go to the restroom to wash my hands. I felt like a toddler. I really wanted to just like squish it down. I've seen people eat croissants where they literally just like squish it down. But this one was like a little too overbaked to squish it down because it literally would just shatter into a million little pieces. But we had some coffee and chatted. It was great. The next thing, I made an appointment on Wednesday. Like I said, Tuesday was a horrible day. And I was like, okay, Wednesday, I was chatting on my phone. I felt like Wednesday was a pretty productive day for me. I got a lot of things checked off on my list. I've been trying to do like work related things and personal things on a paper calendar I got. I told myself I love a Google Calendar, but there is something about like writing your to-do list and scratching it off that's so nice. And there's a couple different areas that I'm working on right now, and I needed some separation for my to-do list of, okay, like on my little half notebook that I write like important things for, like my social club or anything like that, or my website or the podcast, like I'll scratch those off, but I don't necessarily want to add like laundry or mop the floors or do the dishes. Like I don't want to add that to that list. So I have this other list. I love a list. I have this other paper journal. It's like split up in work and home, and I will write down like on the home section will be all of like the household things, like maybe grocery shopping, or if I need to, I just had an eye appointment, if I need to have my eye appointment or pick up my contacts. And then the work side is like my actual like 9 to 5, like what am I doing? Cross that off, like this, and meet with this client. And so I've been trying to be productive in those aspects. I felt really good on Wednesday, and I had a little a FaceTime with my friend because I felt like I had achieved something. I had a really, really good meeting and I wanted to show her like some of the prototypes. So I FaceTimed her to like show her. We ended up talking for 2 hours and like going through all the things and talking about like miscellaneous items, just like everything, just a little chat. And it was really nice. I always remind myself when I'm on FaceTime how nice FaceTime is to be on a call and to see someone's face and be able to flip the camera and show what you're working on, or to set it up. Like I have tripods everywhere, right? I'll like put my phone on my tripod and I'll be doing my dishes or cleaning my counter or making cookies or chopping vegetables or like whatever the thing is. And I'll be able to like have a conversation and see a person and what they're doing on their end. So I love a FaceTime, but we were FaceTiming and I mentioned that I had been a little sad about my massage. So I told myself, in November that after the first of the year, I was going to get a massage. Like I really wanted to make the time for myself and book a massage. And I ended up like making an appointment like January 15th, I think is when I made it. And that day came and there was another vet emergency. Oh my gosh. Like, my massage therapist needed to take her dog to the vet. And so she pushed me back, but since her books are like pretty full, it was like another month. It was like February. I don't know. I'd already waited 3 weeks for this appointment and then it pushed me back like another 3.5 weeks. And then when that day came around, because everybody has been so sick in the area, like I'm sure you know a million trillion people who have like pneumonia or have the cold or like the flu or like any of the things that are going around. And she was super, super sick. And again, her books were full. So it's pushed me out for March, like, I don't know, 10th or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am so stressed out. Like I am really just like, I need something that's going to take me into relaxation. Right. And so I was saying that like, because I had tennis and, I feel like tennis is working so many muscles that I literally do not use, especially like in my wrist, like my forearm. It's insane. But I was talking about that and my friend Abby was like, listen, my facialist just said that her masseuse started her own, has opened her own business essentially. Like she's been a masseuse for like a couple years, but now she's like starting her own studio. And I looked her up and I was able to book her for Saturday on Wednesday. And I was so happy. I was like, like that is, like it seriously made my heart so happy that it was able to be like booked so quickly. Because I don't know, I felt like someone had like wrecked my birthday with the rescheduling. I get it. Like things happen. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try her out, see if she's, good, see if she's what I need. And so I had my coffee and then I booked my appointment for noon for my massage therapist. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to have nothing after that. I'm going to relax. I feel like every single time I get a massage, I kind of like get almost like a headache. And I think because it's moving, it's like body work, it's working with your lymphatic system. Oh my gosh. It's like, it's moving, right? Like it's moving, the fluids in your body. And I always like feel, so thirsty after a massage as well. And I also feel like I have to immediately use the restroom afterwards. It's like all of the fluids, all of the toxins are just like coming out of my body. Right. But it was seriously so good. And on top of that, oh my gosh, I say I'm not going to do anything on a weekend. And I seriously like add things in my schedule. I don't know. But I think that's a good thing about not having any expectations or anything like necessarily like horrible plans for the weekend, as in like a big project that you're dreading or anything like that, or things that aren't exactly fun, like, I don't know. Anyways, I had some time in between meeting with my friend Lauren and then going to my massage. So I ended up stopping at a little boutique in Lee Summit. And I I got a really, really cute dress and new pair of sunglasses in between my massage. And here's the thing, I just got my eyes checked, right? In the spring, I try to mark off all of the things that need to be done, right? Like if I have a doctor's appointment, if I need my eyes checked, if I need like a physical, any of the things, right? Like my teeth cleaned, I try to get things scheduled the first of the year. It makes me feel so good about the rest of the year because I'm like, oh, I got that done. Check it off my list. And just ready for the future. Well, while I was getting my eyes checked, they have not changed. They are the same. So I can keep my same glasses. I've had the same glasses this will be the third year. And, we were talking about, right now, I have monthlies and maybe possibly switching to dailies because of my astigmatism. And I'm on like day 2 of the dailies. They just came in. And honestly, like, I'm not sure. They're like definitely thinner because they're not like supposed to last as long or whatever. But when I put them in my eyes, I was getting ready for my Saturday. I put them in and I get in my vehicle and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my eyes might feel like a little dry. And I was like, why is it like my eyes kind of hurt? And I was like, why do they hurt? No, guys, it has been so dreary out that the sun has been not out and the sun was out. So it was like super bright out and I could not find my sunglasses. I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm dying with the sun and there's still quite a bit of snow on the ground, or at least there was on Saturday. And it was like reflecting and glaring in my eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I needed a pair of sunglasses. So I picked up a really, really, really cute pair of sunglasses, a little dress and it's like a ring light. She is going, she's closing her shop down. So like the discounts were insane. It was like 60% off of everything, like really great prices. And, so I picked up a couple things in between like going to my massage because it's just on the road. And I meet my friend Abby, who I talked to on Wednesday, and I saw her in person and she was like, oh my gosh, I looked over and I could hear your voice. So it was like those serendipitous moments where like just things when you're not so jam-packed, when you don't have like this super strict schedule and you have some availability, you have some flexibility and just like picking things up or doing what you want, like that's when some magic happens. That's when you can like agree to impromptu things and just like stopping by and being able to see a friend, even if it is for a moment. I love doing that. So my massage was super good. I did end up booking it for very long. I booked a 2-hour massage because I just needed it. And I think giving yourself some space to think is really awesome. And meditation, like by itself, can seem like a little bit hard to do because it's this overwhelming sense of my goodness, I'm so sorry. It's this overwhelming sense of like, I'm going to have to sit down and I'm going to have to think about this one thing, or I'm going to have to think about nothing. And meditation for me, it's like the practice of being quiet, and when your mind starts to wander, like coming back to the thing that you wanted to think about or meditate about. So going into my session, I was like, okay, like these are the top 2 or 3 things that I want to work out in my brain, right? And laying on the table and having 2 hours to myself was seriously so good for my mind. Like I cannot even explain it. Like it was so relaxing. It was so good. If you are in the Lee Summit area, it was Dosha Wellness by Jackie. So good. And I just like meditated during the time. There was lovely, like waterfall sound. There was like this music. And as I was thinking, there's, like I said, 3 things I want to really just like have the time to explore and think about. And it's also like, I don't know, it's you are so restful after a meditation. Like you have this like onslaught of energy. You feel like you can conquer things, right? And the 2 hours literally felt like 30 minutes. Like it felt like 30 minutes, which was insane. But I'm like, okay, maybe this is something that I incorporate into my day to day. Maybe this is something that the meditation day to day, but also like once a month getting a massage. Like I used to get facials every 2 weeks. I used to like do all of these things for myself. And I kind of got away from that, because I was overwhelmed with like the scheduling of it. Like, it was like something I had to do instead of something that I wanted to do, especially like on my boards and teaching yoga and just like doing all of these things. Like I'm finding that having an open schedule or having time to myself is really, really important for my energy levels. It's really important for, my ambitions, working on things. Like when I am so drained or feeling like I'm going to one thing to another and this and that, and this has to be done, like it's very overwhelming. And it also like doesn't feel like I have autonomy over my time in comparison to when my schedule is open, when it feels like really abundant. I guess like my time is abundant. Like if I wanted to, I could, lay on the floor. I could scroll on my phone. I could read a book. I could do any of those things instead of like this mentality that I have to be productive all the time. I have to be going, I have to be doing this. Like it is productive to take rest, and laying on that table for 2 hours. Like I definitely was able to they say women's brain is like a spaghetti and a man's brain is like a waffle, where it's like, okay, we have this box, we have this box, we have this box, each little section of the waffle. And that women's brains are like spaghetti, where it's like, okay, we have this train of thought, and also like another spaghetti string is like distracting. So it's like this and this, and like or a lot of web browsers open. Like I've also heard of it as that before. Like a man will open up a web browser, type in what he wants to search, and open up a new tab, exit the other tab, and then like start anew. I will have like 50 tabs open, right? Like on your computer, you're able to have like separate web browsers, and then each web browser could have like a whole bunch of tabs. I have been working so hard to like not have so many web browsers open, like to exit some, or if I know it's something that I'm not going to be able to get to yet, instead of having the web browser up, to write it down on my later list. Like, hey, we were researching about this thing, we need to come back to it. Or like I had several tabs open for like, my website designer, like any of the things that I've been doing. So it's like, close a couple web browsers. Let's open up our time a little bit. Let's see where we can have that open space, because amazing things can come in that open space when you are not so busy and you can say yes to other things. And it's not this like rat race of running, because I also find it's like spaghetti when I'm just running. Like there is no organization to it. And if I close my web browsers, or if I take the time to unravel the spaghetti and think, okay, like, is this noodle, do I need this noodle? Can I get rid of this noodle? Or do I want to eat this noodle? Whatever. Same with my task. Like I was able to just like really isolate some thought processes that I needed. And I also think as a kid, like when you were in middle school or high school, like your teacher would be like, all right, we're going to have a brainstorming session. Like right before we wrote any sort of essay, I just remember one teacher saying, think of your essay topic and you are going to brainstorm for a minute or 5 minutes or whatever, all the things that you could talk about, and you just like wrote it on a piece of paper. And then once you had all the things written down with your brainstorm, then you would put them into paragraphs. Like, okay, if any of them were like similar, the same, could they go in the same paragraph? Which clusters were like so different that it would be separate paragraphs? And I find that technique is so important for like when I'm wanting to do something, or when I have something that I need to think about, whether it's my podcast or it's a meetup or, a random personal thing. I don't know. So I will have that brainstorm, and a meditation to me is like a brainstorm, right? Like you're able to isolate some things or some issues or some problems that you're needing to solve, or maybe it's a dream that you have that you're wanting to like elaborate on and do more of. And so as I was thinking there, I was like, all right, like I see the direction, I see where I want to go from here. And after the massage, I was just feeling so mentally clear. I was feeling very, very clear, and my muscles and body were obviously like very relaxed, but also like a little bit sore because I had worked out on Tuesday and Friday. Like my calves were super sore. By my armpit was super sore, and I could feel her doing like some lymphatic drainage technique like on my collarbones and like draining and pressing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like those muscles are so sore. And she was so sweet. She did like check in with me ever so often. She's like, hey, is the pressure still good? She was like, on my right arm, it must have been like a little bit tender, a little bit more sore, because I like kind of like moved it a little bit. And she's like, oh, it's like, is this arm tender or whatever? So it's very sweet. I felt very like taken care of in the session, which I mean, that's as much as you could ask for, right? Like just being in a very positive space. The sun was also shining. Oh my gosh. Like it felt just like so invigorating to get back in my vehicle after having like a great conversation with coffee, after scoring some really cute sunglasses, and then just being able to like enjoy myself for 2 hours, getting a massage. And then I was like, perfect. I'm going to go home. And Garrett made me the most amazing, tasty grilled cheese from the Super Bowl. We have like some hard cheeses that were left over, a couple packages that we didn't open. And I made sourdough this past week, and this sourdough was probably my most perfect sourdough loaf. The crumb in it was perfect. The, what do they call it? The, is it a collar? I don't know. The part where you like are supposed to cut and it's supposed to like really flip up and crisp. It looked exactly how it was supposed to look. And I was so happy, so impressed with myself. So I had sourdough toast. I had, this Kerrygold butter on it. I had goat cheese on one side, these hard cheeses from our charcuterie board. It was the best grilled cheese I have had all year. I know it's just February, but it was so good. And then after that, I laid in bed. I watched a little bit of reality TV because I had supper with 2 of my very good friends at Crew. It's a new restaurant that opened up in Brookside, Kansas City. And I was so excited. So I just like lounged around, allowed myself to like really reap the benefits of my massage, and of course catch up on some Summer House. I have gotten up to I just finished episode. Oh my gosh. I just finished season 8 of Southern Charm, which Paige DeSorbo has just been introduced as like Craig's girlfriend. I know there's like some drama going on in like on social media right now. I know that, Craig and Paige have broken up, and I was watching, I was listening to a podcast from the Skinny Confidential with Madison LaCroix. I was listening to an episode of that, and I have been hearing Southern Charm so much. And after hearing her interview, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, I want to watch Southern Charm. I started at season 1, episode 1, based in 2014. Madison didn't come into the reality TV show until like season 6, I think season 6. And so introducing to her, I just finished season 8 and I'm pausing and I'm going to go catch up on Summer House so that I can see Paige's side. And I know people who love Marvel, like the Marvel universe. I am loving the reality TV, universe, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't realize that Southern Hospitality had Leva from Southern Charm in it. I didn't realize like she got her own show, which is amazing. But I'm watching episode 1, season 1 of Summer House, and I see Stassi Schroeder in it. I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's so insane. And there's something so fascinating about watching someone's entire life, like being able to see like up into a point, like Craig, like seeing his journey with like his pillows and everything. It's insane to just like, there's so much content, and I've just been like watching it while I work out, or watching it, in the evening, or when I have a bath or whatever. Right. And so I'm finally I have 2 seasons left, right? Like we're in season 10 of, Southern Charm, and I want to catch up on Summer House. So I was watching Summer House, just chilling, relaxing, before I had to get up and get ready to go to the restaurant. And it just opened like this past, I don't know how long that they've been open, maybe a couple of weeks, but it's always good for a Saturday night to just like hang out and chat with some friends. We ended up splitting a couple different entrees. One thing about like going to a restaurant, I always get kind of overwhelmed. I am so decision fatigued right now. I was talking with my mom. She was asking me what we were having for supper. And I was like, I try so hard to like have the same things over and over. Like my breakfast has been the same for the past 2 years. Like every single morning I am having eggs, some variation of eggs. It's scrambled eggs. For the past 6 months, I was eating like scrambled eggs and those cubed potatoes with peppers in it. I've now transitioned to like eggs and spinach, which has been really good. And I got this spinach and arugula mix. Oh, I had the spinach and arugula mix in my not cream cheese, what the heck, my grilled cheese. I had some of that, like the fresh, just like arugula in the grilled cheese. It was spectacular. It was so good. But I have the same thing for breakfast every single morning. I'm going into the kitchen. I am starting Garrett's coffee. I'm starting my coffee. I am mixing up my greens. I am taking my vitamins. And I have my greens and my colostrum. I drink that. Then I take my vitamins. Then I'm eating my eggs. And then finally I get to drink my coffee, right? Like I have that every single day. And during lunch, we're usually having a leftover, or I'm having like a bag of salad with some protein, or I'm having like beans and cheese is like one of my favorite things. I love a black bean out of a can with like melted cheese, super piping hot. Like that's delicious. I have the same thing over and over, and it helps just like with my decision making, like whatever am I having? I don't like, it's already in there. Or for lunch, like I'll have, there's these little like rice-o-rama from Costco, and I'll heat up some bone broth and put that in there. That is so good. Like maybe a frozen vegetable. Seriously, like the same thing over and over. A lot of people get fatigued with it, but I get fatigued by the decision making of like, what are we having for supper? What are we having for supper? What do you want for lunch? What do you want for breakfast? Like it is simplifying it of, this is what we're having, like no question about it. Feels so nice. I can worry about other things, other decisions that I need to make. And so whenever we go to a restaurant that I've never gone to before, I am the worst at making a decision. I'm always like, oh, what are you guys getting? Right. I love a Caesar salad with salmon. That's so good. Like if I go to a Third Street Social, that's what I'm getting. I talked about going to, what was it? Cooper's Hawk. Because of their new location at Cooper's Hawk, I like the salmon Caesar. Oh my gosh. Caesar salad. Super, super good. Like I love to get that at Cooper's Hawk. They also have this non-alcoholic beverage, called the Spa, and it has like mint and cucumber. So delicious. So good. But I like to get the same things over and over. If I go to like a Texas Roadhouse, I'm getting a pork chop. Like I have my go-tos because it simplifies it, right? Like I know what I like. And going to a new restaurant, I was like, what the heck are we getting? We ended up splitting the beef tartare, and then we got what was it? We got a pork schnitzel and then a risotto. Oh my gosh. A risotto had like Italian sausage in it too. We got a couple beverages. The girls got like some green martini looking thing. I don't know. I forget what it was called. It had like a cherry on it. And then I got a non-alcoholic aperitif, or it was slightly different, but basically it was an Aperol spritz, but not alcoholic. I love the places that have like the non-alcoholic options, that are just as pretty and have like a cute name to it. The same as like a regular beverage, right? Like I don't like bringing a whole lot of attention to it, for personal reasons. Like people ask about like random stuff, right? Whatever. But the food was pretty good. We talked so long. Conversation was just really, really good this weekend. And if I would have been stressed about like, oh, I have this to do, like my schedule is so jam packed, I wouldn't have had the ease of talking with someone. And to get to the point where you can have an open schedule, it means that you have to put in the work, that you have to do things, to like execute the things that need to be done in order to have like the space to do whatever you want. So I've found for myself, like throughout the week, if I can pick up my house, if I can do the dishes, if I can make sure that I'm not having a chair full of like things that I'm throwing on it, but instead like actually putting the item away. So Saturday, when I'm doing all these things, and our supper wasn't that late, we ate at 6, it was pretty chill, but we talked for like 2.5 hours. They were like, hey guys, can we actually move you to a different section? We're about to get like another party. Oh my gosh. I was like, actually, I'm so sorry. We can leave, right? Like we were talking so much. But if you don't have that space in your schedule, or if I knew like my house was a mess and it was going to be so much work to like clean it or work on it, or like I had other obligations, and I know that you can't always have it perfect all the time. Like you're not always going to have space in your schedule. You're not always going to have the ability to control your time in a way that is like relaxful or restful, right? Like there has been many weeks that I'm like, oh, I have no autonomy. I am like just doing what needs to be done until like I can survive, right? And to be able to have some like open time, right? Like just not having anything planned for the weekend makes me feel so good. And I know that I say like planning nothing for the weekend, and I had several things that I did, but to me, those friendships are easy friendships, right? Like these people, it's like a mutual pouring into one another, right? Like it's not a draining relationship. It's not something that I feel like is work. Instead, it's just fun. Like there's no pressure to it. Like after my massage, I wasn't wearing makeup on Saturday. I could not bring myself to like, I've had a massage before where I've like put mascara on. When your face is being squished in the little like headpiece of the massage, like my mascara, like the heat from being pressed up on my face, my eyelashes were like all clumped together. And so after that time, I learned to never ever wear makeup to getting a massage, right? Like you want a clean face, you want to not have it squished into the pillow. But I like had no pressure to wear makeup. Like I came as I was. I I did put on jeans instead of, I got a pair of these Skim boyfriend lounge pants for Christmas, and Garrett got me an extra large, but they feel like a 3X. They are super, super big. I get that it's a boyfriend fit, but oh my gosh, I have to roll them several times. And because like there's still quite a bit of snow out, it's kind of melty outside, really nasty. I'm like rolling them extra up so my cuffs aren't dragging in the snow and getting all yucky. But I swapped out of those, put on some jeans, and it was like this really easy, relaxing evening. There was no pressure to do anything, no pressure to entertain, no pressure to like put on makeup. I just could be hanging out with my friends. And while I was laying in bed watching my reality TV, I thought to myself, I was like, you know what, because like I said, I had a little bit of a headache, and I feel like after you get a massage, like you just, I don't know, like there's a detoxingness of getting a massage. I was like, man, do I really want to like get up and go to dinner? And I thought to myself, you know, if I cancel on these friends, like it's no big deal. Like they will totally understand. And I was like, no, like I actually want to go and talk to these people. Like it's not a hindrance. It's not hard to have a conversation. These are some of my best friends, right? And in having the ease, like knowing that they wouldn't be mad at me if I did cancel, but like they make it easy, they make it fun, they make it nice to be around and hang out with, and to have someone to like chatter with or conversation. Like it always feels just so good, and in a way like that relationship has energized me. It makes me feel more ready for my day. It makes me feel, just rejuvenated, and like my cup has also been filled back up. So we did pass on dessert. I will say I wanted dessert so bad, but I was just so full because I didn't get home until like 3:30 from my massage, and Garrett made me that huge, literally the grilled cheese is huge, like sourdough bread is like, can be massive. And these were full slices because I didn't have lunch. I was getting my massage. So I had this like thick, big grilled cheese. And then only a few hours later, I was then eating dinner. So I saw like a couple of videos on social media of this place that we were going to, right? Like Crew. They had like this lemon cake that looked so good. But listen, that will have to be for another time because I was so full. But we finished our little beverages. We had a great time. And of course, like we took a little selfie. My favorite thing, even if you're looking like trash, to take a little selfie is so cute. Like it doesn't have to be the most perfect selfie. It just like a little snapshot. And I always say for the memes, like it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter if it's the most flattering photo, right? I always feel like if I look at the photo right after I take it, I'm the most harsh on myself, right? Like I'm like, oh gosh, like I should have wore makeup, or, I look washed out, or maybe my hair, or like any of the things, right? Or maybe it's not a good angle. I should have like retried. But when I look back on the memories, when it's like years or months or years, whatever, like have gone by, I look back on it and I think, oh my gosh, like how cute, or how young, or what a time, what a moment in time. Right. And, so we did like a little snapshot of it, and I was like, for the memes, like it was a really awesome, great night. And I'm so glad to have like memorized it as like this beautiful photo. And I think back to, there's like so many things that I haven't taken a photo for because I didn't feel the most like confident in myself, or I didn't feel like it was the time, or nobody could take the photo. Like a selfie is literally good enough, right? Like it's good enough to take a quick pic. For the memes, I feel like I need to actually like print out some photos. I have a whole bunch of photos in my phone, but I feel like I need to get them out and print them off, do maybe a little bit of scrapbooking, because I was going through my phone. I was like, oh my gosh, there is a ton of photos. Absolutely insane. But yeah, so Saturday, I didn't do anything besides connect and give myself space and have fun, which brings me to Sunday. I woke up and we like tidied the house. Okay. In the past, our house might have needed like an overhaul. Like, there is something to be said about having like a morning and an evening like cleanup, a little tidy, making sure that the shoes that I wear, shoes seem like so trivial. We take off our shoes at the front door, and like, how many times do I like leave shoes that I wore out by the door instead of like putting them up in the closet, right? Like, you will leave them, and every couple of days it's nice to like pick up the shoes instead of like, oh, it's been 2 weeks. Every single shoe I own is actually by the front door. I need to like put them in the closet, right? So doing little things to pick up, or like doing dishes every single night. That's one of my favorite rules, is before I go to bed, I am going to start the dishwasher so that when I wake up, my morning crew, me, myself and I, or Garrett, will put the dishes away. Because then as we have breakfast, we eat lunch, we eat dinner, we can fill up our dishwasher and start it for the night, right? Like, it's having these little hacks, having these little systems in place that you're able to not worry about it anymore. So this morning, I only had like 2 loads of laundry to do. I had a maintenance load of one of our blankets needed to be washed. Rowdy has been in the mood to just like hop on the couch. No, Rowdy is like our least cuddly out of the 2. Rooster will always want to jump on the couch. And Garrett and I were just thinking about how old our dogs were. We were thinking back to like, okay, like how old is Rooster? Because we were thinking, okay, we got Rooster before we got engaged because we did engagement photos. And I was thinking, when did we get engaged? And he was like, 2018. I was like, there's no way 2018. We started officially dating in 2017. I'm pretty sure we dated longer than 1 year before we got engaged. And I was like, okay, I ran for homecoming queen in 2019 and we had gotten engaged that spring. So we got Rooster in 2019, right? Yeah. In 2019, and it's already 2025. That's insane. He's going to be 6 this November. I can't believe it. And Rowdy's 5. Like, it doesn't, like, they should be 2 and 3. Like, why are they 5 and 6? Like, they are so like old. I don't know. And it just made me really sad to think that, the longest dog who has lived is a blue heeler. It's like 13 years. Maybe I'm exaggerating. It could be 10. I want to say it's 15 or something, or 13. I actually don't know. But on the world record, a blue heeler is like the longest living dog. It broke the world record. And so I'm like, okay, like our dogs, like they're fine. And I'm like, wait, actually, no, I'm very sad. But Rooster, we got him while we were in college. And so he was like constantly in my bedroom and always like on the bed and like with Garrett and I constantly. The pandemic also happened. So like Rooster was with us when we worked from home and things. Like, he would always like want to cuddle on the couch. Rowdy is like, she's sweet, but she definitely has a personality. Like, she is like kind of cranky sometimes. Like, if it's too late in the evening, and she will like, she's very vocal, almost like a husky, where they'll like talk to you. She will talk to us, and it's always like in the grumpiest tone. And she's not like snapping or biting. She just like talks. Or even like when you're playing with her, like it's the same sound. Or when you're loving on her, like she likes it. Anyways, I'm not going to explain that to you. Like, I always feel like when I'm talking about how like she like growls, it's like a positive thing. Like, she's not being vicious. But sometimes when she does get grumpy, she like Rooster will be walking around and she'll be like growling at Rooster to lay down. Like, she's tired of it. And so like it's time to go to bed, we'll be like, all right, Rowdy, go to bed. And she'll go into the hallway onto her bed. But the last 6 months, she has been climbing up onto the couch with like no hesitation. Like before, she would like put one paw very slow and then the other paw. Now, like I don't have to call her up. Like if I wanted to cuddle, I'll like get my blanket, and Rooster always is like jumping so high. Like when I get a blanket from the closet, like Rooster is very excited. He usually like rolls on the couch, like kicking his legs, usually like bites at my hand. Like he's excited. And Rowdy like has been just like hopping up on the couch and like laying in front of me. It's so cute. But like one of my maintenance cleans, that blanket, it needs to be washed. Like it smells too much like a dog. So I threw that in the wash, but I really didn't have that much laundry to do. I only had 2 actual loads of like our clothes. And then I had a maintenance one of a blanket, and I threw my robe in there. I was looking a little dingy. I feel like I wear my robe like constantly. I'll like wake up and put it on, and I might spill coffee on it. I might, have some makeup or some skincare on it, whatever. But I was like, all right, this is like a very easy tidy up the house, like wipe down the counters. Let's vacuum, let's mop, let's do the things that need to be done. And I think it took us an hour, maybe 2. Okay. An hour and a half, 2 hours, but like really maintenance cleaning. And it seems so simple, but if we would have somebody stop by, the stress of like, oh my gosh, like my house is not clean is not there anymore, because we've put in the routines, we've put in the systems where it's like, all right, like our house is fairly clean. If anybody were to stop by, I wouldn't feel like some type of way. I wouldn't be like, oh gosh, like quick, keep them in the driveway while I like pick up a bunch of stuff. No, it's like, anybody could come and we could host them. Like I find like when I was a kid, like if someone stopped by, my mom would be like, oh, do you want to stay for dinner? Like it was a very casual thing. And she always would have enough food. When she was feeding an army, okay, we had 7 people in that household. So it was like, okay, like, what's one more? Or the house would be clean, or there would always be extra blankets, always extra things. And that hospitality, that just like ease of like welcoming anybody to just like come in and be like, hey, like, come into my home. It's clean. I'm not embarrassed, right? Like I would have so much stuff like in my, like vanity area of like all of my makeup, all my hair supplies, all my everything. And I think really and truly like continuously auditing the things that we have in our house. I know that we just did a whole like chemical cleanse, like throwing out all of the toxic like products in our house, donating things that like I no longer use, no longer need. If we have excess of things, like how many cups do you actually need, right? Like, can we donate some of these cups? Can we, spend our time doing something else instead of like moving junk from one side to another side, or like everything needs to have its place. And if it doesn't have its place, then like, what is it actually doing here? Right? Like, what is it doing in this environment? Can we do something else? So I'm really grateful for the time that I was able to just like relax and to fill my own cup up. Because without it, I would be stressed out. Like I wouldn't feel as good. And I feel like when you are in a really positive mind space, then you're able to perform at a higher level and better. You're going to be kinder. You're going to be nicer. You are going to, like, they always say, what was the thing that, or what was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Like, the straw seems very light, and a camel, like what else was that camel carrying? What kind of baggage? Was it carrying supplies? Was it carrying a person? Was it carrying water? What was on the camel's back? And then like one little straw broke it. That analogy, it seems like so, like flippant. It's like, oh, that was a straw that broke the camel's back, right? And it's kind of like an old saying, but truly, like what the thing that is going to break you might not seem like the biggest thing in the world, right? Like you could stub your toe, You could have someone cut you off in traffic. You could lose your, I don't know, favorite sweater. Those things aren't like the biggest things in the world, but if you're already stressed, if you're already carrying baggage, if you're already dealing with other stressors in your life, and then you're like, oh, this like one inconvenience is my last straw. It's my last straw. I am seriously like so stressed out, and you snap, you're angry, or you come at it from like a negative point of view. And when you are so negative, like that negativity spreads. And same with positivity. Like if you can absorb the anger, if you can think, oh, like I stubbed my toe. Yeah, that really freaking hurt. But because my cup is full, because I'm in a positive headspace, it's really not that big of a deal, right? Like, oh yeah, it definitely hurt. Like I'm definitely like in pain, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like all of these crazy things. And so when you can have like a more positive mindset, if you let go of some of the baggage that you're carrying, or you let go of maybe some of the obligations that have been like holding you down or like stressing you out, if you can let go of those things and just think to yourself, okay, like how can I frame this in a better perspective? Or how can I start to separate myself from this situation where it's no longer negatively impacting me, and I can move on to something better, something more positive, and feel better about the autonomy of my time and energy, instead of just being like, oh my gosh, like this thing is stressing me out. And so I know by having space this weekend, by clearing things off my schedule, by allowing my brain to have more fun, I know that this next week, like even if it's a tough week, even if it is worse than the week that I just had, I know that I'm going to be able to take it head on. I'm going to be able to do the things that need to be done in a way that is loving and positive. One of my words for 2025, I have simplify, I have execute, and I have empathy, right? Like if you remember from January, or if you remember from December when I was talking about those things, like I want to simplify my routines. I want to make sure that I'm not having decision fatigue, that I'm just able to get it done. I'm executing the things that need to be done. I'm getting done in the time frame that it needs to be done, so that when I want to have fun, I'm able to have fun. So I'm doing my morning and my evening closing shift, right? Like I'm making sure the dishes are done. I'm making sure that our laundry has been switched. So we're simplifying, we're executing, and then we're having empathy. How can I come at this from like a positive mindset? What can I do to like spread positivity and not negativity? And of course, there are going to be some days where it's not exactly perfect, where maybe I am not executing. I am instead doom scrolling on my phone, or I made something more complicated than it has to be, or I'm holding onto a relationship or a obligation that is no longer serving me. Instead, like I need to let it go, but I haven't yet. And then in turn, like I am lashing out, or I'm grumpy, or I'm not doing the things that need to be done in the way that they need to be done. So I know everybody has probably already forgotten about their New Year's resolutions, but I've just like constantly reminded myself of like what my goals are for the future. And I would love to have 1 million more Saturdays like I had this past weekend, right? Like I want more Saturdays like that. And guess what? We don't get 1 million Saturdays. We only get like a set amount of Saturdays, or a set amount of Sundays, or a set amount of Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, right? Like, and you get to decide how you spend that time. You get to decide on like what you're actually doing day to day. And if you aren't liking what you're doing day to day, how can you adjust? How can you change it? What are your words? What are your things that you're focusing on this year? I talked to you guys about like my little journal that I have where I've like pasted in items. I'm still adding to that. I'm like journaling on the side of those photos. I'm flipping through it. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, like what do I want for myself? Am I aligned with that? Like, am I actually going to get to that thing that I'm wanting, or I'm like off track? You can always edit. You can always revise and change and audit and pivot. So that's, what I've been doing. I'm just trying to have the best weekends that are open and available and awesome, that make me happy and make my cup feel like it's filled up. So thank you for spending your time with me this past hour. Like, that's a choice that you made. Like, you added me into your routine. You added me into your life, and I'm so appreciative of that. So thank you so much for listening, or watching. If you are on YouTube, please rate, review, subscribe, all the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.